Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I think it's always really humbling when people take the time to hear anyone speak, and certainly I couldn't appreciate it more. And well, when I say I really mean, we all know you're really here to meet the real Oliver Thomas. So together we are the co-founders. Yeah, he's smarter than I am, so you'll want to make sure that, you meet with him. So thank you for that great introduction, and it's always been great to, obviously Sandy is the oldest of 7 children, and it's always been great to have such a role model and someone that really deeply cares about people, and that is, a skill that is just absolutely unbelievable. The other thing I want to thank her for is the great thing about being the oldest is that they are the best diversion. So all you have to do is get in trouble, and then you just say things like, look what Sandy's doing over there. You should look over there. And because I was 6 of 7, nobody really cared what I was doing, and it worked perfectly. So I appreciate, you kind of taking the heat for everything. So like everyone, I want to start out with some thanks. And obviously that was a very kind introduction. And I want to thank Scott. I think I always say, there's been so many benefits to actually being named the Cabot Speaker. And I think one of the greatest benefits is that I gained a new friend. And it really has been unbelievable. And at the end of the day, that's really what life is about. And the minute we sat down, it was Scott and Janet and I walked away and I was like, oh yeah. And then we ended up like texting back and forth. And I'm sure we could get in a lot of trouble together, which is always the best. Patrick, want to thank, obviously you and the university. Absolutely so generous with your time. And Rebecca and Miriam, I cannot thank you enough. I mean, Miriam reached out right away and she goes, oh my God, you actually answered back. And I was like, oh, not only did I answer back, I'll have you working with me. And Rebecca, just such an unbelievable job. And she asked a question when I said I was going to bring Ollie, and it was something like, is he chipped, in case he got away? And I think after this week, what Rebecca's thinking is Sue Fuller chipped? Because she asked the wrong question, and now she's like, oh, okay, we got to adjust that for next year, put that in. So the students and the faculty, I have to tell you, I didn't go to a university where the faculty cared as deeply, really were invested in the success of the students, and it is overwhelming to the degree that they really want every single person to succeed, and I think that's pretty unbelievable. I literally couldn't even name one professor's name that I had. Part of it was probably I was trying to just skate by and try to be like, oh yeah, don't call on me, but they really deeply care. And the student body here is unbelievable. The amount of projects that you did, the investment that you took to really deeply understand the Oliver Thomas Company, we really appreciate. And I was emailing back the team a lot of the ideas that you had, and I can't wait to see a lot of your projects, and I know you all worked really, really hard. So big, big thank you. So the reason why we're here today, obviously, is I'm supposed to share something insightful. And, obviously, I think it's always humbling when somebody wants to hear a little bit about your background, a little bit embarrassing. So I'm going to share a little bit about that today. And I'm also going to share with you, we've been in business for almost 2 years now. The Oliver Thomas Company has been. So it's been a very short period of time that we've all been hustling, right, Ollie? And there's going to be a lot of lessons that I'll share with you that we learned in the short 2 years, but there's really only one thing. If you take away one thing from today, it's that everything begins and ends with relationships. So I'll give you other lessons. That's great. If I can just have you walk away, connect with everyone. And that's really what the focus is going to be on today. Oh, down. Where's the audio? Yeah, where's the audiovisual team? Down. So again, that's the big theme today. We'll start out, I'm going to take you through what's called a sizzle reel. And a sizzle reel really gives a really fun overview of a company so you can understand the sense of the company. You're going to see a select number of press mentions that we've received everywhere from Forbes and Time. Every major fashion magazine has written on us. We've got an unbelievable press coverage, everything from Access Hollywood to Wendy Williams. And by the way, we do not pay for 1 ounce of advertising. It's part of our whole Let's Be Real. The press has been unbelievably generous to us. And by us, they're really here for the dog. I know I'm a prop, and I'm okay with that. We're all okay with that. So we're going to start off with that, and then we'll go into a little bit about the journey. How did I get to where I am? There's many seniors in this room. I am super excited for you. The other thing that I said is I was highly encouraging all your professors not to pass you because then I have to compete with you in the world. And so I was asking if they could please not pass you because you're definitely very bright. So we'll start off with that. We'll go through some of the lessons, and then we're going to end up opening up for questions. Okay? So with that.
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Yeah, yeah. Okay. Hush, 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 hush. Let's go. Let's go. In the club with my homies, tryna get a little VI.
When Sue Fuller started designing bags, she noticed a common problem.
Women were walking around carrying heavy multiple bags. I was doing the same thing. You know, I'm a mother of 2. I was an executive, a frequent gym goer, and I found myself carrying about 3 to 4 bags at a time.
She decided to design the ultimate bag that could go from day to night and week to weekend.
And this whole line was meant to be really just fun and evoke a sense of joy.
Love this is a company called Oliver Thomas.
Yeah,
They're super lightweight. I mean, you can just feel them.
Yes.
Laptop cases, what I love, machine washable.
Yep.
So that's a big help. And they are super lightweight, so no heavy books are really going to weigh. You know, it's not like it's weighing you down before you put anything
Yes.
inside. And you can customize it with patches.
Put little patches and
Have
stickers.
fun, and you can move them around.
Now, let's show you guys this bag. So, Wendy, you were talking about the spy store. Well, this is a James Bond bag.
Okay.
It actually has RFID technology. and
What does that
means-
mean?
Okay, that means when you're at the airport or out, nobody can scan your identification or your credit card. Can you believe that? And so it helps with identity theft. And it's from Oliver Thomas. It's just $69, and it just so happens to be the color of the season.
Oliver Thomas loves dogs. In fact, Oliver Thomas is a dog. Tonight he walked the runway in the Oliver Thomas Fashion Show at Fashionably Late at Liberty Hotel. For a brand that refuses to play by the fashion industry rules, the fact that having a dog as their co-founder made pretty good sense.
Tonight we're doing a special preview for Boston, where the real Oliver Thomas will be wearing his brand new dog coat line that is also fully customizable.
Hey! Hey, 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 hey!
Well, I wear my clothes like this because I can. And I wear my hair like this because I can.
So that gives you a little bit of an overview of everything that we've been doing over the past 2 years. So we'll be 2 years old in January. Our distribution is, we do not sell to Amazon or eBay. We actually do not sell to major department stores. We sell to local boutiques. And so we built a model that was very different than a lot of the brands out there, and it's because of that personal connection. I wanted somebody that was connecting with this brand to be able to tell the story about the brand, that we weren't just another quilted bag, that it actually had a lot of meaning. I wanted them to tell the story of Ollie and how he and his friends are hand-drawn on the inside of the bags, and all the functionality. And so that we're now in over 500 accounts. We have done 4 collaborations with that small company called Peloton, the bike company. And we have done, we actually are the bag of choice for NetJets, which is the largest worldwide fractional private jet service in the US. We've done collaborations with Laura Mercier, We've been at Canyon Ranch with Laura Geller. And so we just secured Sandal Resorts yesterday. So we are continuing to grow, but we really value relationships. And so every single person that comes into contact with the brand, we actually don't approve everyone. We make them submit profiles, make sure it's almost like dating. Are you a good match for me? Are we a good match for you? Because as I said to the retailers, I would never want to do anything to disappoint you. So that's how we're pretty excited in terms of how we have been building the brand. So how did this all start, right? Where does a crazy person like me even emerge from? So this is the family picture, and I just want to clear, there we go. Now that's a little better, isn't it? And so this is where life for me was like pretty perfect. I had two things going for me. One, I was the baby. Second, hashtag favorite. Okay, life was good. I was 5 years old. Everything was phenomenal. And then this happened. Does everybody see the problem? Wait, let me help you. Let's fix it. There we go. That's better. Let's fix it again. Let's see. There we go. Now that's better, right? So I grew up in a large family. I am 6 of 7. And what I tell everyone is everything I ever learned about being an entrepreneur, I learned from being in a big family. So it was around this time that, when I was the baby, certain things worked for me, right? First of all, everybody kind of ran around me, and that was awesome. And then if I didn't get what I wanted, then I would whine a lot. And if that didn't work, I resorted to tattling. And that was the best. And then, my younger sister came along, and I was like, this is a problem, because now I have to learn some other skills, the soft skills. And so I had to learn how to actually negotiate with my older brothers and sisters. And the great thing about my parents is that they were highly entrepreneurial, and they encouraged us to be entrepreneurial. I actually cannot remember a time, someone said to me, now when was the first business you created? And I think I was like 4. And I have woken up every day since I think I've been 4 years old with the land of possibilities in my head. I mean, I get so excited every single day. And so we were always starting businesses. We've done everything from paint rocks and sell them. We had the, lemonade stands. I braided hair. I bedazzled clothes. I mean, you name it. We were always doing it, and we were always taking partners. So we were convincing people to, start a business, and we were always winding down a business, starting a business, and convincing everyone to jump into the business. And then I think it was around my 7th or 8th birthday that I got the greatest gift of my life. It was a Fisher-Price cash register. So I ripped it open, ran downstairs, put it on my parents' pool table, and I just thought this was the greatest thing ever. And Bill Gates always says, I started my business in a garage. And I'm like, hey, Bill, lower than that. In my parents' basement, on a pool table. I got you beat. So this was great. And it was at that time that we actually made our very first department store. So on my parents' pool table, I would actually take clothes that were my brothers and sisters and neighbors. I would actually bedazzle them, and then I would sell them back to them. And I never bought the clothes in the first place, so my profit margins have never been better. And my sister was actually in charge of guerrilla marketing. So she would ride around on her pink Huffy bike with cards with clothespins stuck into it so it would make noise. So this was like the 80s version of guerrilla marketing. And her job was to get everyone in our basement. And then, all you fancy marketing people, the word now is experiential marketing, okay? And I'm going, we were doing experiential marketing from the time I was 8 years old. We would have a record player, and depending upon who we got from the neighborhood posse to come downstairs, we had 2 records, Rick Springfield or Olivia Newton-John. And it was Amy Jo Koopman, who was my best friend at the time. It was her job to run downstairs and go, okay, we have Scott Krause coming over, and we would be like, he's definitely a Rick Springfield guy. And so then we would put on Rick Springfield, and on top of that, we came up with our own way to sell food. So everybody talks today about like, oh, we should do experiential marketing. I'm going, are you kidding? I've been doing experiential marketing since I was 8. and making a lot of money. So this is where entrepreneurialism all began for me. And I have two gifts that I was blessed with. My brothers and sisters were blessed academically and athletically. I was blessed in other ways. The gift of gab, there's another word for it. If you don't know what it is, turn to any Gen Z or millennial in the room. They will tell you. And the second thing, Ollie, did you put in this slide? The gift of curiosity. And those two things are sort of what set the stage for the rest of my career. So after, kind of going through school, and I was involved in different organizations, I went off to college. And the first day I showed up on campus, which was in Rhode Island, was the first day I'd ever set foot on there because we just couldn't afford to go to Rhode Island. We didn't have any money to go out to Rhode Island and visit the college ahead of time. And so I showed up on campus, and one of the things that had taken place in Rhode Island during that time was the S&L scandals. And so all of Providence, Rhode Island was actually boarded up, and schools were losing money. And so they started combining in, which at the time was, you would think would be problematic, but it actually worked out great for me. So we actually had to take our business law classes combined in at Brown University, which also happened to be across the quad from Rhode Island School of Design. And by the way, I was not a good law student, Brian, just for the record, just so you know. And so I was walking across campus one day, and I had always been interested in fashion. I used to sit in my room when I wasn't manning our very fancy department store on my parents' basement, and I would cut up Tiger Beat, and I would cut out like Alyssa Milano and Ralph Macchio, who was from The Karate Kid, and make little outfits for them. So I see Liz Claiborne, and at the time, Liz Claiborne was like the it brand, and I would hear about their internship program. And so I went up to the table. I said to the woman, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And she goes, "Oh, we're here recruiting." I go, "Oh, great. All right. Well, all right. I'll do that. I need an internship." And she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Are you from the Rhode Island School of Design?" I go, "Oh, no." Like, no, not even close. And she goes, "Yeah, we're really here for the design students." And I go, "Oh, okay. Well, what would it take for me to get an internship from you?" And she goes, "Do you have any retail experience?" And I go, "Yeah, no, none at all." And she goes, okay. And you can tell she's annoyed by this time because she wants to get to the students that are really meaningful to her. She hands me her card thinking, I got to get this girl to go away. And she said, "Okay, well, why don't you call me and I'll fly you out for, an interview when you get real retail experience." I was like, "Great, awesome." Go off to my law class. That night, I go to Emerald Square Mall right outside of Boston, and I apply for a job at Victoria's Secret. And the woman says, "Do you have any retail experience?" I go, "No." And she goes, "Yeah, I don't know if we can, this is kind of a very critical fit, And she goes, "Well, we have this new line launching, right? It's like bed and bath, if you want to do that." I go, "All right, I'll be the bed and bath girl. Cool." So I get hired. I call back Liz Claiborne 8 months later, and the woman was like, "I'm sorry, who are you?" And I was like, "Well, you promised you would fly me out." And she did, because I think she was like, this girl is crazy. And I started my career at Liz Claiborne. Showed up on the first day, and I was with 4 students. 3 of them were from FIT, and 1 was from FITM, right? Amazing design, merchandising schools. And the first job, they said, is, "You're going to clean out the sample closet." So there's 4 of us. And I go, "Oh, okay, right." And I'm next to Michelle from the Bronx. And I said to her, "Hey, what's a sample?" And she goes, "Seriously, where are you from?" And I go, "Wisconsin." She goes, "All right, okay, just come with me." And it was because of that. And I started, just kind of being curious, talking to everybody, meandering. And it ended me actually at my first position at Ralph Lauren. And so the thing I would tell you is, I think I've worked for some of the most amazing, iconic American brands ever. I mean, I reported directly to either the founders of most of these brands or really close to the founders. So in Ella Bean's case, I reported to the great-grandson, but he was really the one that actually ended up basically growing the business. And so what I can share from you from all of this is a girl from a town of 2,500 people that had no money. I am not from retail royalty in the least. I didn't even know what a sample was. And I somehow made it all the way through to being, the second highest in command of a public company. So if I can do it, anyone in this room can do it. And if you have a dream or if you are thinking of starting a business, I want you to remember me because I literally didn't even know what a sample was. So not only did I not know what a sample was, I didn't even know what half these things were. And, I hope there's the companies aren't watching that I used to oversee, but I actually ended up seeing over 13 functional areas and overseeing billions and billions of dollars worth of goods and products. So I oversaw huge product management teams, design, planning, technical design, demand planning, quality, enterprise planning, warehouse management. And the one thing I can tell you is I knew none of this when I started in the business, 0.0. And all I would do all day long is they would have projects and I raised my hand for every one of them. I could barely spell visual merchandising. And I was like, I'll do it. What do you need? And it was from that all of a sudden I would start to become an expert. I would work with experts. I would learn how they looked at the business and I just connected the dots. And that's exactly how my whole career has gone. And so if I can do it, and you are actually coming from a university that has unbelievable talent here, you're surrounded by people every single day that share your passion, you guys are going to do just fine. I've actually done commerce in over 45 countries, and this was really key, especially when we started Oliver Thomas, because we actually ended up calling on a lot of those countries. And the first thing they would say is, what do you need to make your business successful? So again, in the era of everything going digital, and it's only going to increase, right? Is AR coming? Is AI coming? And the answer to that is yes. And guess what? Next year is 5G. And if you don't think things are going to get faster, you are wrong. It is going to only speed up. But the one thing I can tell you, at the end of the day, people do business with people. So at the end of the day, what we always say is it all begins and ends with relationships. The other thing that I wanted to share with you, and this was a little bit of an interesting story. I was at a crossroads. I was at Vera Bradley. I was trying to determine my next move, which either would have been to take a CEO position of a public company or to potentially move into a company with a very, very large volume and become their chief merchant. And I was interviewing at TJ Maxx, great company, by the way, a $40 billion company, for their chief merchandising officer. And I was thinking about taking the job. And this is, as luck would have it, I ran into a gentleman that I was talking about this position. And I said, yeah, I'm just not sure because, I kind of also want to start my own thing. And he goes, oh, you sound like that guy, Kenny Rood. And I go, Kenny Rood? Well, I know a Kenny Rood. He was the first president I reported to at Ralph Lauren. He goes, oh, yeah, same guy. So Ken Rood, actually, I met up with him 20 years later. I was 20 years old when I reported to Ken Rood, meet up with him. And he listened to my story on the phone, and he said something to me that forever changed the decision for me as to making that determination to be an entrepreneur. He said, I really think that you should do this. I really think you need to go on your own. But to prove to you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the greatest companies in New York, in the fashion retail, and I'm going to set up interviews. And I was like, okay, well, that's weird. I kind of am going through an interview, but all right. And then he came to New York, sat in on the interviews with me. And I was like, this is creepy, right? And I couldn't figure out because I'm like, wait, is he not ever going to leave? Like, this is a little weird, right? And we walked out of like 3 or 4 interviews that day. We got down to 3rd Avenue. I know exactly where I was. And he said, so did you see that? Everyone will hire you today, but you won't hire yourself. You really need to hire yourself and go do your own thing. And then as he was walking away, he turned back around and he goes, I mean, if it doesn't work out, you can always jump back in. And it was that moment in time that I decided I was going to be an entrepreneur. And I did what anybody did. I started a business, and it was called Totem Totes, and I trademarked it, and I patented it, and everyone hated it in June of 2017. and I booked 20,000 yards of fabric. So I had to do the next thing. I had to pivot very quickly because you have money on the line. So within a month, I had to go back over to Asia, cancel all the fabric that I booked, and start a new company called Oliver Thomas. And that's how we got here today. So, and then what happened is we started running production. We had some quality issues, as anything happens in business. I had to convince Ollie's girlfriend, dog nanny, who's here today, to come and sell. And it was sort of like, hey, Carrie, what are you doing? I'm sleeping with your dog right now. Yeah, we're going to go sell bags today. She goes, wait, you're going to demote me to selling bags? I'm like, yeah, let's go. So that was how that happened. We had the soft launch of Oliver Thomas in 2017, thanks to some independent retailers that really bet their livelihood on us, which is really pretty amazing. Whether or not they can feed their family, send their kids to college, or buy Oliver Thomas inventory, that's the decisions that an independent retailer is making every single day, and that's pretty humbling. So then I decided to change the entire business model by November. I was like, before we actually launch, I think we should do wholesale. So I had to pretend like I had a booth. I had to call, actually, I actually had to call the Atlanta Gift Show, and they said, do you have a booth? And I said, yes. And then they go, great, why don't you send it to us? And I said, oh, when do you need that by? And they go, well, everything's closing tomorrow. I go, oh, okay, no problem. Called my best friend in Maine, said, hey, what are you doing? She goes, yeah, I'm just heading to Boston. Why? I go, oh, yeah. She goes, how's the bag business? I go, oh, good. Yeah, hey, what are you doing later? And she goes, I don't know why. What do you need? And I go, like a booth. And she goes, wait, you need a whole booth by when? She goes, like a couple weeks. I go, no, by tomorrow at 2, because it's closing. And we did it. We kind of mocked it up. So you fake it till you make it. We got in, didn't we, Carrie? We sold. Life is good. We finally have launched. We completely, we're going through. We have 2 trade shows. We're on our 3rd trade show. We get sued in federal court. Not just any court, by the way, okay? We got sued in the Southern District of New York, okay? This is like the toughest court in the country, right? So we couldn't even believe it. This is from a girl that, like, I think I had 1 traffic ticket maybe in my whole life, and all of a sudden, So who's been sued in the Southern District? Martha Stewart went to jail. We've got Anthony Weiner for sexting that went to jail. Bernie Madoff. I mean, really feeling good. Ollie and I are now sued in federal court. And this was our judge. This is Judge Denise Coate. And we were sued over something that, I give this to you as a learning. Can't make this up. We were sued over something that the other company didn't even own. But you can do that, just so you know. So they were claiming to own quilting, and I'm like, that's weird. I just came from a company that's done quilting for a really long time, and they're kind of the biggest. And then you have this small company called Chanel, and they do quilting too. But it's called trademark bullying. And so anybody can sue you at any time because there's this thing in fashion called secondary meaning. And I'm not sure if you know what secondary meaning is, but if you look at something and you think it's iconic in your own mind, you can sue someone and they have to prove out that, it's iconic. So anyways, they were trying to do it to take us out of business because we were growing so fast and we were a threat to them. So that's called trademark bullying. And they didn't just do this to me. They did this to 11 other companies, including companies like Rebecca Mankoff, Joe Fresh, and they all settled, and I was like, wrong girl. I don't settle. I don't settle. So we went to court, didn't we, Carrie and Ollie? That was our judge. She handled cases like Microsoft and Apple on price fixing. She put away Anthony Weiner for sexting, and she also handled Mike Tyson's estate, bankruptcy, and now she was managing quilting and a dog. So you can imagine how thrilled the judge was. We won on all counts, which was fantastic, and we're going, life is amazing. And then this happened, right? So now we're about 6 months into our business, and we have these pesky little things called tariffs. And so the first time I thought it couldn't be. May, we get hit with tariffs of up 15%. I know you're feeling me on this one. Another entrepreneur. And you're sitting in bed going, this is possible, this is not happening. So I called customs and said, how long is this going to last? And they go, oh, really bad news. The last time tariffs have been adjusted, 1932. And I was thinking, 1932? Like, oh gosh, this is, then they were raised again, up to 25%. So think about this. Start a business, sued in federal court, win, still sued in federal court, and then tariffs raised, not since 1932, not once but twice, and we have a pending third, by the way. And all this time, we are just focused on growing the business because we have no choice but to grow our way out of this. And the only thing that gets you through is teamwork and relationships because things are going to happen and you have to call on people to help you. So these are just some shots of, some of the team. This was our whole legal team. So we hired the number one team, the number one trademark attorney in the US. They handled the Christian Louboutin case versus YSL. They are the team that oversees all of Nestle. They are the team that oversees Coca-Cola. And you don't just call a lawyer and they pick up your phone. So, and you can imagine, this lawyer did not want to return my call for quilting. He had bigger things to do. And he goes, and then I use the dog card. And he goes, okay, so I get to David Bernstein finally, and he's going there's a dog and there's quilting and wait, And so he finally goes, okay, I'll take your case. By the way, this case is not making his career, okay? Not by any stretch of the imagination. We win. We had the best legal team ever. They were amazing. And, we're just so happy. So quickly, the top 15 thing learned from being a dogpreneur entrepreneur. So Ali has a real bark in this, So all you need is one person to believe in your idea, just one. I was really, really lucky. I had friends that believed in me. I had family that believed in me. I had neighbors that believed in me. I had a dog that believed in me. But you just need one person. And I think back to Ken Root and what he did for me, and I hope to be able to do that for somebody someday to give them the confidence to put down your phones and connect with everyone. Although I am going to ask you to follow Oliver Thomas at the end, so don't put it down now, okay? It takes a village and a like-minded pack. Carrie was the very first employee who I say she was voluntold, and we've been together ever since. But everybody that came along for the ride, my two best friends, my brother is now the GM, and almost everybody that we come into contact with is either somebody I worked with in the past or somebody I know personally, and they all believe in the mission that we're going after. People will surprise you, mainly in great ways. People show up that you think will never show up. And then there will be people that you think will show up that don't show up, and that's okay. But I think this has been such a great experience for that. Right always wins out. My mom and dad used to say this all the time, right always wins out, always. And I think the federal lawsuit was a great example of that. We won on all 6 counts easily. I mean, it was an open and shut case, but we had to go through it. The great news is they can never sue anyone again. They can never do that to a business and shut them down. And that's a big, big deal, because that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. This one, someone said, so my neighbor happens to report to a federal judge, runs over to my house and says, oh my God, you know how lucky you are, you've just been sued in federal court. You are so lucky, this is amazing. Really? Not feeling so lucky? We are different feeling, Karen. And she goes, oh my God, when you win this, no one's ever gonna screw with you again. And I was like, okay, we have different feelings right now. Really, really different. But I do have to say, it has taught me a lot. I now advise other people to help them, because has anybody ever been sued in federal court? Anyone? No? Okay, good. All right, just me? Good? Okay, feeling comfortable, safe space. Okay, good. But yeah, it is a process. You're handing over all your personal information. They come and confiscate your phone. Carrie had to go through it. You go through depositions, and you start going like, yeah, maybe I did take that piece of candy when I was 3. I don't, You can apologize for a lot of things. Quality and integrity are not one of them. And this is something every single day where we try to be as transparent as we can. And if we have a quality issue, we own it. Measure people by the size of their hearts and not by the size of their wallets. Thought it was really interesting when we first started, this woman came into the booth with Carrie and I, and it was my girlfriend Gretchen. And she said, do you prioritize your orders based on the big guys? And well, at the time we didn't have big guys, but we pretended like we had big guys. And we go, no, it's like a first in, first out. And the funny thing is, a couple years later, she's actually one of our largest accounts. We do hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I just thought that was great. There are no rules on how to run your business. Obviously, Ali is the co-founder, and we have a man pitching the bags.
At Oliver Thomas, we believe in being there for our customers like a big, warm hug. Since lawyers won't let our CEO just randomly give out hugs, we've created the Wing Woman Tote to remind you that we care. It's lightweight, water resistant, machine washable, durable, and it even has a compartment for your secret stash. You can think of it as your best friend giving you a big hug. And we can all use a few more of those in our lives. Let's be real.
So, dare to suck, really important. Justin Timberlake used this in a speech, at a graduation speech, and I think this is so important. We always say all the time, this might suck. This might be like the worst idea ever. And we're always like, let's do it anyway. Who cares? We'll figure it out. And I think that's how you push, really, really push the needle. There's no substitute for the School of Hard Knocks. Luckily, you are all going to a great school. And then I am going to encourage all of you to then go to the School of Hard Knocks, right? Go out there, get tossed around a little bit, pick yourself up, and keep going. And it is fun, and it is grueling, and it will get you through, and you will learn a lot about yourself and a lot about those around you. It pays to have a great friend as a great lawyer. I think we all get what that one means. Always bite off more than you can chew. This is Ali's, but we always have 2 to 3 things incubating at any one time while we're also growing the business. So it's really important because you never know when the businesses are going to dip or where things are going to take a quick change. And so this is so that you can pivot very quickly. There's no substitute for hustle and working your tail off. And the American dream is still alive and well through hustle, luck, and at the end of the day, about relationships. So we'll close with this video, and then we'll take questions.
When you're low and your knees can't rise, you feel helpless and you're looking to the sky. Some people would say to accept defeat. Well, if this is fate, then we'll find a way to cheat. 'Cause we'll say a little prayer. But if the answer isn't fair, you know you can call on me when you need somebody. Call on me when you can't stop the tears from falling down. You know you can call on me, call on me, darling. You can't stop the tears from falling down.
So that is it. So a big thank you to everyone. Any questions? Yeah.
Did you hire that whole legal team from the get-go when you started your business, or just when you got?
Yeah, so here's the really interesting thing. I didn't realize that you need a whole team. And so we're on the phone day one, and he goes, right, and then Christopher's gonna sit second chair, and then you have, and I'm going, and then this one's gonna sit third chair, and I was like, how does this work? Because there's myself and the dog, and there's a bunch of you. And he goes, oh, well, it's very tough in federal court. Everyone plays a very different role, and then you have to have the paralegal team. So before they take the case, they do what's called a scope, and they tell you, we think in order to really make sure that we're gonna lock up this case, because it's going to be called a landmark case, we think we're gonna need this size team. This is roughly the budget. So I knew it, and then I was still in denial, because everybody said, there's no way this thing's going to trial, right? 95% settle, by the way, 5%. okay? Really didn't, one time I don't want to be special, but it happened. And so they kind of give you a scope, and then I think the day we walked in, we were like, I was like, thank God we have the team we did, because great lawyers are everything, because it's literally unbelievable. And since then, because we were a landmark case, we've actually given several recommendations to them. They actually are the lawyers for 23andMe versus Ancestry.com, and we had to talk to the CEO, and we had to say how the process went and things like that. So, and they deserve every bit of money and good luck that they get. These guys, and Carrie knows because she got depositioned, they're a solid team, and like I'd want them on my side. So, great question. Anyone else? Yes.
Who are some of the people that have inspired you and that you look up to while you were creating your business?
Yeah, that's so great. So I think I have been really, really fortunate because, I come from a great family. So obviously, all my brothers and sisters and my parents. But as I was going through each of the companies that I showed you, I was really fortunate that at each company, someone actually cared about me. And by the way, when I say cared, sometimes the feedback was like really, really tough. And they cared enough that they would actually give me that tough feedback. Because someone like me, I am a loose cannon. And so you have to imagine, left to my own accord, I would be off like creating, you name it, I'm gonna find a way to do it. And so I would have these mentors that would say, wow, we think we have something with you and we're gonna path you towards this. But like they had to learn how to corral me in a way and then guide me. And so I would say, at every single company I had a different way. I'm very fortunate as well as overseas. Almost every country I have someone that I call upon that I'm able to pick up the phone and go, what do you think? And so the network, and I wouldn't say it's any one person, it's just that, I tried to establish this network of trust in every single thing I did. And I think I've been unbelievably fortunate from that perspective. And I hope to do the same for others. I try to do the same for others. So. Yes.
Just a quick note with questions. It is being live streamed. So if you're willing to go to the mic, that would help.
Oh, sorry. I'm not good at protocol.
Yeah. I realize it's challenging enough to ask questions right now, but.
So you said you knew you wanted to do something for a long time, and when you're at that turning point where you're deciding if you're going to hire yourself or work for someone else, did you always know it was bags? You worked for a lot of different companies along the way. Was it always bags? Was this always the line that you dreamed of?
No, actually. And my background's really more in apparel. But I think what I do is I wake up every day and I see the world a little bit differently. A lot of people ask the word why. I wake up and I go, why not? And if I see something that I feel like I can fix or make better, I'm also working on a coffee line right now. Because so I am always looking for kind of, the untapped market or somewhere that I think I can fix or make better or, and this just happened because I was personally affected by it and I was complaining about it and I was like, somebody should do this. Somebody should fix this multi-bag problem. I'm like, well, I should fix that multi-bag problem. And so I just kind of fell into it. But as we're continuing to grow the line, obviously we're expanding it in many directions. It's just that this is how we first felt like we could monetize, get to market in a way that we would generate cash quickly. Why? I could flat pack the goods so I wouldn't have a lot of CBMs or cubic meters, so I wouldn't pay for air and shipping. I felt like it was a low barrier to entry because while there are a lot of bags out there, there really weren't many that were washable, vegan, and we're solving the problem of the plastic bag that's now coming into, be law where people are outlawing plastic bags. And so as I started looking outward, I started being like, this is crazy. There's a whole business over here. So we started there, but you'll see Oliver Thomas going as a lifestyle, where we feel like we can be meaningful or bring something new and innovative to the market. And it's a financial decision at the end of the day. I'm sizing the prize every day. So I'm going like, okay, I think I can get over there. What's the distribution? What's the market share I feel like I can gain? I'm very strategic, but I'm also super like crazy, weirdly creative too. But I know enough that they have to go hand in hand, so. Anyone else?
As an entrepreneur, balancing so many different business interests and teams, can you talk about how you've gone about building the people around you and the teams and the leadership teams that you've had in your businesses?
Yes. So I hire very unorthodox, and this has worked for me at every company. This may not work I never look at a resume. I really don't care. You want to know what I care about? Scott and I had this conversation the first time we met. Do I actually want to have dinner with you? That's it. That is the criteria that I use. And then like, let's say we actually get along, then I might look at your resume. And I actually really don't care. I only care about a couple things. One, do we have at least the same synergy? Do we actually, at the end of the day, have the same core values? Can we run at the same speed? And do we have the same goals in mind? And by the way, are you actually fun? And I know that sounds crazy, but that's, I don't have this like, sophisticated, and this is probably like, I know you guys, like the educators right now are like dying. But that is how, because I know you're like learning Rubik's and we have 9 box and the answer is like, yes, but what's so great about all the corporations that I was able to work with is literally, they would hire me, and by the way, all of it was based on relationship. I never once went to a company because of an executive search firm. Somebody always called somebody and goes, gotta hire this girl, right? And the great news is, they would preface me before I even got there. So they would almost say, okay, you gotta hire her. Here's what you need to know about her. When you hire Sue Fuller, you gotta just like let her go. Because if you try to box her in too much, never gonna work for anybody. But if you let her go, like it's gonna be great. And so I started convincing the teams around me that that's how we were gonna hire. So then we would get in a room and we would be like, all right, so let's go out to dinner tonight. And that's how we ended up hiring. Vera Bradley, that was how we hired a lot of times. We would get recommendations and then we would have dinner with them and then we might flip over the resume. And then obviously if it was an executive position because we were a public company, we then would have somebody do a proper search. But it was never the other way, not at all. And so, I think the great thing is relationships, they matter all the way through. The same way I started Oliver Thomas is the same way I started the business when I was 5. I called all my friends and family. I was like, hey, what are you doing? All right, Carrie, what are you doing? We got to go get in the car and sell bags, man. Let's go. And that's basically the same way. So, like I was saying, they're all friends and family. It's my brother that now is the GMM of the business, and it's really important to us because it is like a family at the end of the day. And Ollie has a real say, so he gives the final paw of approval. Anything else? Yes. Oh. Is this helpful? A little different than the other Cabot speakers. I didn't do zero landfill or anything like that. I was like.
Based on the biggest challenge that you've faced in your industry as a woman, what advice would you give to young college women that potentially would like to go into, being an entrepreneur in the future?
Great question. So, my sister said it best. I think probably because I'm not that smart. I never actually. Okay. Yeah. But I never actually, and I actually don't even think of it this way today. I actually never thought about the fact that I was a woman. And you have to imagine, 25 years ago, I was actually doing business over in Pakistan and India. And I remember in Bangladesh, and it never occurred to me that I was a woman until women would say to me from those countries, how did you do it? and I would go like, wait, how did I do what? And they would say, this is amazing. And it never really clicked with me, and I do think it's because of our upbringing. Our parents just always were like, yeah, you're going to work in a paper mill, and you're going to work on the job site, and and we just did it. And so I think part of it was like my own naivety, I guess. I was very naive. And so I always thought I had an equal place at the table. And honestly, I don't know if I'm lucky. No one ever treated me like I didn't. Maybe because I just have a lot to say. Back to that STFU pill, right? And so I think that might have been part of it. But the one thing I can tell you is I always tried to connect with everyone first, before we even did business, right? And that's the one thing, and we still do that today. We go to fashion shows today, and before we've even set up our booth, we're like, hey, okay, all right, Sam Edelman, you guys need coffee. Okay, who's this? Wild Fox team, Reagan Bone, you guys. And we try to build the community first. Then we do business, right? Because to work the other way, and so that is my piece of advice. And when you do that, everybody helps each other. Man, woman, dog, anyone. People just want to help people. And I think the biggest thing this business has renewed, I wouldn't even say renewed, but people are really gracious. They want to help. And I think that to me is amazing, and right, Carrie, do I miss anything? It's just, yeah, we've been really, really lucky. So does that answer? Thank you.
I am loud enough, I can talk from here.
Okay.
Of course, I like dinner with you, okay? You offer?
Yes, I'll have dinner. Oh, we're having it at Logjam, my new favorite restaurant. I love if anyone doesn't know, this is the owner, amazing wild rice soup, bacon cheeseburger, sweet potato fries, and onion rings. Tried them all.
My question for you, look at the hindsight, looks like your entrepreneurial spirit started much early on when you were 8 years old. Now, through college, you have some reflection of things that you missed or you wish that we, as faculty members, kind of help our students to learn.
Yes, well, what I wanted to announce is that Carrie and I said that we're actually coming back to college. It's going to be here. We're like, this is unbelievable. So, I really am jealous almost. We were actually having this conversation. We're walking down the hall. We're like, can you believe this? I'm like, and people actually care. It's so weird. I think you have something, Scott said it, and it was really interesting because from the first time that we met to have coffee, he goes, Stout is a really special place. And I speak at other universities. I speak at Boston University and Boston College, and and it really is a special place. And you guys make it really special. And you have that that very intangible thing that universities don't have. First of all, you have an administrative team that really, really cares and wants to move forward. I know because I had lunch with them yesterday and I was like, oh my God, okay, well, you got to do that. And you're like, keep going. And what do you need? And that's unbelievable because that has to start from the top and the vision has to start from the top because it's really hard to push through. Then you have this amazing faculty. Everyone I met with, I'm like, oh, I'm definitely coming back and sitting in on that class for free. And I'm doing, look at, he's like, that's not for free, note to self. And because you really care. I mean, Miriam, the fact that she reached out and was like, hey, what do you need? And let me organize all of this. And that is literally when does that happen? Never. And then you have students, such a talented group of students. I mean, the fact that you are leaving with internships is unbelievable. And, as I look back at my experience compared to what you have, you are so much further than I am. So listen, if a girl like me can do this, please, I'll be so disappointed if everybody doesn't start a business in this room. You are surrounded by people every single day that are passionate about what they do. And a lot of you actually know what you want to do. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I meandered into it, right? And you have faculty that care and are really smart. And then you have an administrative team that wants to support you. And so I think as I look at that, And by the way, an alumni who's like killing himself over here to be like, what else can we do to help do this? And that magic formula, maybe you don't recognize it because you're here, really rare, like really rare. So it's just been such a pleasant experience, and I congratulate all of you for that like special something that's intangible. That's it? That's all we get? Ollie, we're getting kicked out.
That's all you get. Time for the bag giveaway, so I'm going to head over there and call out some names.
Okay, what are we doing?
The bag giveaway.
Okay. Do I what? Oh my gosh, wait. You know how I said everybody should not, that you should put your phones away? Don't put your phones away. As a matter of fact, we need you to, first of all, for